my quality of my camera, with the type of microphone that I have, with my lighting, with my things are not perfect. This is not my end goal of what I want to do, but if I would have waited until things were very pristine, I would have missed out on so many opportunities to grow, to have this as part of my story. What's poppin' YouTube? It's your girl Kai K, the CEO Queen, and today we're gonna be watching another video centered around business and finance. So this video is gonna be talking about what to spend your money on when you're trying to build a brand. And this video is by Emma Grade. She actually, I just found out about her, I wanna say about a week ago, because she did a interview with Tracee Ellis Ross and then backdoored it and did an interview with Mark Cuban. Go Dallas. All right, so I have high hopes for this video. I'm sure she's gonna give a lot of good nuggets. I got my journal right here so we can jot down a few good tips. And if you have any tips that you caught on to, or you want to make sure somebody else knows about, put it in the comment section below. We support each other around here, okay? I appreciate y'all so much. Please subscribe and like the channel. It helps in every single way possible. And come on, let's get it. When you're done, put you on.
Hi and welcome to another special mini episode of Aspire, brought to you by Shopify. Now, one of the questions I hear the most from new founders is this: where should I spend my money when I'm just starting out? And what matters most in the beginning and what can wait? Now, when you're building a brand from scratch, every decision counts. The way you invest in the earliest days has a massive impact on what your business becomes. Here's what I want you to know. You do not need to do everything at once. You only need to focus on what moves your idea forward. Now, luckily, Shopify is a platform that...
You know, that's really good advice all jump. Even though it's part of an ad, it's really good advice, because especially people like myself that get kind of fixated on the perfection part of it. Like, you want everything to look exactly how you picture it in your head, how you dream your success is going to look like. You want it to look exactly like that. You have so much control and passion when it comes to what you want to do, what you need. And she's saying only focus on what needs to be focused on. So let's just say for this, right? It's so many things. I got so much stuff I want to put up on the wall. I got lights and stuff like that that I need to hang up. I want to decorate for Christmas, all that other type of stuff. But if I would have waited until all that stuff was done, we wouldn't have this content now. I wouldn't be here now. I probably wouldn't even start it this year, I'm not gonna lie, because then I would have been on myself about why I'm procrastinating. And I would have took even longer because there was so much shame involved with it. So instead of having everything exactly how I wanted to, I focused on what mattered. I got a little scene, you know what I'm saying? I got a little something in the background for y'all nosy motherfuckers, for y'all people with ADHD who can't really, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I get it. And I made sure I had my audio. I made sure I had some sort of camera. I made sure I had some sort of headphones. I made sure I had some sort of lighting. And we getting it done. Focus on what you need to focus on. That's it.
Actually lets you put your time and your money towards the things that matter. So today we're talking about how to invest wisely when you're building a brand and where you can keep things simple. When I think back to my journey with Good American and later on with Skims, I didn't start with like a giant checklist of what the brand should have. I started with what mattered most: the product and the customer. For Good American, the entire idea came from recognizing how ignored most women were in the denim market. I spent a huge amount of time understanding that customer, her needs, frustrations, and fit issues. And that insight shaped every early decision. We know women with curves wanted and needed more from their denim, so we set out to solve those pain points through innovation. Those innovations are still the very backbone of our denim assortment today. Recovery fabric, 4-piece trouser waistband, reinforced belt loops, all of those things. But the key insights that led to those innovations came from us speaking directly and deliberately to as many women as possible about their experience with denim as a category. We had women try early prototypes and we gathered data from every single early interaction. We kept hearing the same problems over and over again, so we focused on solving those problems. Getting early product or prototypes into the hands of potential potential customers is one of the most important things that you can do as a startup. And you have to be willing to use that information, the information you get back, to make decisions. The more deeply you
Okay. So it's gonna be a lot to having to write and also listen and also present, right? But a couple things that I wrote down already is what she said initially: focus on what you need to focus on. Then she went further to say your product and your customer are the main things that you need to be focusing on. All that other stuff like the glitz and the glamour and all that stuff, that can wait, but you need to build a foundation. Let's write that down. You need to build a foundation. What is your foundation going to be? And the way she found that out is to figure out what your pain points are. What is your customer's pain points? What do they have to complain about? In her case, with the jeans, how comfortable are the jeans? What makes the jeans comfortable? What makes the jeans uncomfortable? What complaints would you have about this product? Do you have a little space in the back with the gap? How is that something that bothers most people? Is it too tight around the hips? Like, finding what brings the discomfort so that you can bring the comfort. You know what I'm saying? Tell me what makes you sad so I can never make you cry. You know what I mean? Another thing she said that was very, very important that I never really thought about. I never thought about this was to get prototypes into the hands of your potential customers. Make sure that they have something to see and give feedback on. They need to touch it. Just like when we go to a grocery store or to a clothing store or anywhere, really, we like to touch it. We want to feel it. We want to see what the texture is like. We want to, this is the quality. Make sure people have that prototype in their hands. Okay, appreciate you.
Understand your customer, the easier your decisions become. You know what to build, what to fix, and what can wait. You stop spending money on things that look good and you start investing in the things that actually work.
Yes, okay.
With Skims, it was the same foundation. Building a product that simply doesn't exist in the market with the customer's needs in mind, focusing on creating an assortment of sizes and shades that were nowhere to be found in the market. So here's lesson one. Before spending a single pound or a dollar, ask yourself, what problem am I solving? What does my customer actually need? Those answers will tell you exactly where your money belongs. Just as it's important to know where to spend your money, you also need to know where not to spend your money. Let's start here. You do not need perfection. You do not need to look like a big brand on day one, and you definitely cannot simply pay your way to a customer. You can have the best marketing in the world, but if the product isn't right, there is no loyalty. A common mistake founders make is over-ordering inventory. They assume customers before they've tested demand. A good American, we learn quickly to listen to customer feedback and let it guide what we produce next. The first product we launched after denim was bodysuits, but after a few months, we could see on social that customers were actually wearing our bodysuits as swimsuits. Now, I don't need to explain to anyone who wears a bodysuit why that's a really bad idea, but it was also a key insight for us. We realised that there was a gap in the swim market for the fit and the fabrications that we were already making, the ones that we were already getting known for. So category number 3 for Good American was born, and there was a built-in audience that was ready to go. Another early spending trap is believing that a massive launch will solve everything. It won't. I say this all the time. Social media, PR, or a launch event alone does not create customer loyalty. The product is what keeps customers coming back. You have to obsess over your value proposition. Is what the customer is getting from you the best in class for the price? That is an essential equation that you need to spend your time on, and it will be time so well spent. Because
okay, so let me express this as well. Let me go ahead and knock this out too. So she said that we already talked about the pain point. We need to figure out what problem are we solving? What avenue are we opening up for people? What is something that people need? The second thing she said was you also need to know what to not spend your money on. I know a lot of people who have clothing businesses, and one of the things that they do is they spend a lot of money on buying clothes before they necessarily have the demand. So they have a high amount of supply, but not much demand. And if we know anything about economics, then we know that it has to, if anything, the demand has to be here, right? And the supply has to be here. It can never be like one is above the other, because that's when you run the risk of falling flat. So if you have all of this product but no demand, you've wasted so much money, and you have now you have so many tangible assets, but that the tangible assets doesn't automatically convert into money. You know what I'm saying? Spendable cash. So another thing she said is massive launches don't solve everything. And I know, because I've started a few businesses. And I always had this high hope when it came to launching, like, okay, this is launch day, we're getting it out there. You know what I mean? Like, I want to make sure it's this big thing that people know about it. I'm sharing it everywhere. But like she said, it's the product that creates the customer loyalty, not you creating a business. Not just because you're a melanated person and you decide to open up a business. That's not going to keep, unfortunately, that's not going to be the thing that creates customer loyalty for you. So making sure you have the quality of product so that when you do launch, it's known, it's seen, but that moment can now create a successful domino effect. Okay.
Because honestly, a launch party budget is not a good use of your time or your money. And lastly, you do not need a big overhead. You don't need a big fat team or a fancy office before you have momentum. The early days of entrepreneurship are scrappy, and they should be scrappy. Most of us start small, wearing every hat. Good American started in the office of another company, and every brand that I've been part of started life in somebody else's dead office space. You take a corner, you take a table, you take whatever you can get. It doesn't matter. What matters most is momentum and constant forward motion. So take this as permission to keep things super simple. Don't invest in things that only look successful. Invest in things that help you become successful. Once you know what not to do, the real question is, where should you put your resources? And the answer is this: invest in the things that your customer will actually feel. First, invest in your product. Invest in your USP. Invest in refining your offering. If you have an ideas-based business, make sure your offering is crystal clear.
Okay, we're gonna have to go back on that.
Investing the real question is, where should you put your
I put my resources?
Okay. And the answer is this: invest in the things that your customer will actually feel.
Okay. Invest in what your customer will actually feel.
First, invest in your product. Invest in your USP.
Okay. First, invest in product. But like she said earlier, we're not having this overabundance of backstock. So we're going to invest in product. That means quality, not quantity.
In refining your offering. If you have an ideas-based business, make sure your offering is crystal clear. Something you can say in one sentence or less. And when you get the product or the offer right, everything becomes so much easier. Branding and packaging is another smart place to invest. From Safely to Skims, having a category-defining aesthetic can set you up for success. But this is a specialized skill and a great area to bring in expertise if it's not your strength. Because when you work with a partner who can think through branding and packaging from all the angles, that is a great use of your resources. I've even given equity to the right partner to ensure a best-in-class visual identity. Second, invest in understanding your customer. You need to talk to them. You need to listen to them. You need to study them. You need to know your customer inside out. And when you truly understand who you're serving, you make better decisions and you spend smarter. This shaped Good American from day one. I found research and survey agencies to be a really smart use of money in the early days when you're refining and testing and learning. Now, the third thing is...
Okay, so before she goes into the third thing, I want to go over a few things that she talked about. So we already said that she said it's not important to invest in a launch budget. And we already talked about why that is, because that's not what's going to keep customers. That's just showing people that you exist, okay? She said in the beginning, things should be scrappy. Things should not be pristine and perfect. Okay, again, with my background, with my quality of my camera, with the type of microphone that I have, with my lighting, with my things are not perfect. This is not my end goal of what I want to do, but if I would have waited until things were very pristine, I would have missed out on so many opportunities to grow. I would have missed out on so many opportunities to have this as part of my story. So, and what's that going to do is going to reduce your overhead. So, another thing she said that is very important, keep your momentum. Make sure that you're keeping your momentum. It's not about the look, but it's about the being. Who are you? What are you representing? What branding are you pushing out there? What problems are you solving? What type of people are you connecting with? And that's another thing she said. Make sure that you're investing in knowing your customer. You can't just assume, oh, this is what people like because this is what's in right now. This is what's trendy. There's so many things that are trendy that people don't like and they have it in their house, but they probably wouldn't buy it again. So you want to make sure that you actually know who you're serving. Something that was very important, she was talking about, where should I put my resources? So invest in what buyers will actually feel. Invest in what will connect your buyer to your company, to your product, to your branding. What are some things that can connect? I would say texture. People love texture. If it's like a liquid base or like makeup or something like that, pigment. Let's see, if it's shoes, comfortability. If it's a service, connectability, convenience, things like that. She said the first thing is invest in product quality. Another thing for the for idea based companies or products or services, whatever, make sure that you can say it quickly.
In the early days, when you're refining and testing and learning. Now, the third thing is to invest in your digital presence, but keep it simple. You don't need a massive website or a huge content engine on day one. What you need is a home that makes you look credible, even when it's just you behind the scenes. And Shopify gives you that polished storefront instantly. And their AI tool, Sidekick, is genuinely such a game changer. It's like having a tiny little team in your pocket. They help you write copy, tidy up your site, and keep your customer experience sharp. And that's what matters. And on social, you should keep it simple too. Be where your customer already is and be present. One channel done well is so much more powerful than 5 done really badly. Let your early customers tell you where to show up, and all you need to do is listen to them. Finally, I would say...
Okay, so for that last one, I got to invest in your digital presence, but don't make it like everything. Like, don't put all your focus into your digital presence. What you need to do is be present, be in a space where your audience, your target customer is already at. And that they need a home to go to. They need a place that they can go to that shows everything that they'll need to look at. That's what I've gotten.
Invest in your community. The way you speak to your customer matters. Every single communication counts. We received your order email, your order is on the way email. Every interaction is a chance for you to elevate and brand the experience to create a feeling, not just a transaction. The comments you respond to, the trust you build over time. Community isn't created by a big budget, it's created by consistency and care, one customer at a time. These are the investments that grow with your brand, especially early on. Now, I want to talk about something so important. There is a big difference between what looks valuable and what actually is valuable. Beautiful branding alone,
everything that glitters ain't gold,
it's just perceived value. It can be valuable, but only if the more important investments have already been made. Clarity around your mission and reason for existing, innovative design, and an obsession with serving your customer. Now, those things bring actual impact. A polished campaign might get someone in the door, but only a good product will make them a returning customer. A product that fits someone perfectly or makes them feel seen. Now, that has a real impact. I can easily count the number of times a customer has told me that they love a campaign we did, but there is no way I can count the number of times a woman has stopped me to say, thank you for how your product made me feel. And you just can't buy that feeling, that loyalty, or what happens when that just becomes word of mouth. Customers will always remember how your product makes them feel. They'll remember the fit, the fabric, and they'll remember the service. That's what keeps them coming back. So remember this as you're building. When in doubt, go back to your foundation. What problem are we solving? Who do we serve? That will always point you towards the right investments. The best part about building a business today is that you can start lean and still start strong. You can begin with a tight assortment, a simple site, and a small but engaged audience. You don't need to have everything figured out. Technology like Shopify truly is your best friend when you're starting a business. It takes care of so much of the heavy lifting that founders in the past needed entire departments for. What once required massive resources can be done from your laptop with the right tools. You just need a lean team, maybe just you, a couple of freelancers, and the courage to take the first step. Aim your resources at your customer, your product, and the insight you gather as you grow. And when you're starting out, it's so natural to feel fear. I actually think it's a good thing. I look for the fear because when I feel it, I know I'm pushing the edges of what's possible. But fear doesn't mean chaos. You don't need to reinvent every wheel. Some things already have a playbook. Customer service, operations, the foundations of running a business, people have solved these problems before. So, where should you spend when you're building a brand? Remember, spend on your product, spend on customer insight, spend on community and connection, and spend on what creates real impact. Do not, never, ever, ever pour money into distractions or things that just look flashy. My challenge to you this week is just take an honest look at where your time and your money are going. Are they supporting the heart of your business, or are they actually pulling you away from it? I do this personally every single Friday. I look back at where my energy and my resources went that week, and I ask myself, is it aligned with what truly matters? Now, thank you so much for joining me for this special mini episode of Aspire. I can't wait to share more stories, more tools, and more conversations to help you create the life and the business that you've been dreaming about. Until next time, stay focused, stay inspired, and invest where it truly matters.
I love that. All right, so for the last part, let me go over the last things that I wrote down. So I don't know if I said this already, but she talked about investing in community, that every interaction matters. So she said whether it's an email confirming your order or, updating you on the site, policy and procedures, whatever the case may be, that interaction matters just as much as if you were in front of them talking to them about trying to sell them this water bottle. Like, every interaction matters. Community is very important. Care and consistency is going to be the formula, and that needs to happen for every single customer. And I've, seen it on social media, whatever the case like that. I've never experienced it in person. Every melanated business that I've ever supported has always treated me well. Let me just say that. But we have this reputation of providing poor customer service. That's just something that's really talked about when it comes to the melanated community and business. So we got to remember that our interactions with our customers really matter. So you always let them know what's going on, what they need to know. Don't let them be in the dark, but also knowing what needs to be shared. Showing your appreciation for them. It's just like if you're in a relationship. Like, you want that person to feel good because you don't want them to feel taken advantage of. You don't want them to feel less than. You don't want them to feel like you don't care if they're here or there. So, having that interaction. She also was talking about how they'll always remember how you made them feel. Very important to keep in mind. Your resources should be allocated to customer insight, product, service, connection, community. Those are all going to be the same thing. So your customer insight, figuring out the pain points, figuring out their gripes, their complaints about the products that currently exist in their life, the product itself, the quality of the product, and also service, connection, and community. And this sentence I wrote down, intently reflect on output and input on what and when energy and resources are sent. So making sure that you keep track of where you're spending your time, what you're spending your money on, how you are putting out into the world what you want to manifest. It's all great. And I love doing stuff like this. I'll be watching videos like this all the time. So to be able to share this moment with you is lit. Like, I am so grateful that I have the ability to share my voice and to share my experience and to share my interests with people who have the same interests. Like, building a community is really important to me, and people in my IRL, my real life, know that building community is so important to me. So thank you guys for joining the journey. Definitely hit me up on Instagram. Put in the comment section below anything that really stood out to you that I may or may have not said. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We going up one person at a time. Let's get it. Peace.